Bubbly Dash.
Oh, Babundi.
Yo, dog. Like, I feel some type of way because even though it's an inside joke now, only a few people know how many times we have done this, and it's never and it's never seen the light of day. So even before I sent the text to you for this time, I said a little prayer and it's Lord,
Yeah.
like this time, even if it's the rapture, let it happen after this one.
You know, I was actually thinking the other day, do you remember we actually even once shot something in Bloemfontein?
I know that's where it comes back from.
I had
It's
forgotten about that
over
one.
5 years.
Yeah, that's like over 5 years ago.
Footage got lost, bro.
Yeah, I remember that.
This, that, the other. One time
And
you
then
get
we
the,
shot back again in Joburg.
yeah,
That's
twice in
crazy.
Joburg.
Twice in
Yeah,
Joburg,
twice
yeah,
in
twice in
Joburg.
Joburg.
So this one, I couldn't even go fast. Like, I need to have a conversation with the Ngoks, and we
Yeah.
need one that will actually go out.
Yeah.
Because
But you know, I always have time for you. Bro.
yeah, I love you for that, bro, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Ungakhathali, because
Yeah,
again,
no.
it's So thank you for honoring the invite.
No, it's a pleasure, bro.
And it had to be when I thought because, well, one, this history that we now have, these conversations that we've been having over the years, and I also thought where my mind is at recently, I was like, okay, because this is the way my mind works. I'm like, okay, I want to have this conversation with this particular person because I know you, and respectively each person, and so on and so forth. So I've been heavy on, because I'm at a point, I don't have any kids, disclaimer. So I'm at the point where I'm a little older than when my dad was when he had me.
Okay.
I think my dad had me when he was 27.
Okay.
My mother slightly younger than that. So now I'm thinking a lot about that chapter of, okay, I think I'm ready to be a dad.
Yeah.
Other days I'm like, yeah, I'm not ready to be a dad. I'm still too selfish and all of that.
Yeah.
So, but it's a thought that's now coming to mind more frequently.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Am I ready? Is it just like me getting in my own way? Am I not ready? Do I still need to iron out and fix a few things? So I play with that. I play with that thing, and what I've been asking myself is there actually a point or a turning point where it kind of registers in your mind, whether before you have a child or after, that's like, okay, I'm in dad mode now. Almost like a
switch.
Yeah, you know how women have, it's called maternal instincts.
Yeah.
If a man has that, okay, saying time, and then it's like, yeah,
I would say, well, my opinion.
yeah.
I don't think there's ever a switch.
Okay.
The thing about it is it's like growth, right?
Yeah.
Growth often happens during uncomfortable moments. Growth is uncomfortable. It's inevitable,
100%.
right? So think back to scenarios where you learn something new, right? 80% of the time, it was an uncomfortable situation, right? Something drastic happened. God forbid, something tragic happens. And through that, you became a better person, right?
Yeah.
And that is what growth is in essence, right? You bettering yourself and evolving into a newer version of yourself, right? Now, the thing about it is that as men, we often avoid uncomfortable situations. I mean, you see this even in the household. You're not going to be the one that picks the argument or that starts. Often at times we let things slide.
You try to avoid it.
Yeah, you try to
Yeah.
avoid the conflict or anything that puts you in an uncomfortable situation.
That's true.
So just based on that character trait as men, you can never be ready to be a father. You can never have that moment where you say, you know what, actually now. I'm not saying every man. I'm not speaking for every man. I'm just saying that's just my observation when I'm referencing myself.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I was waiting for that moment because luckily for me, I'd been dating my partner since early 20s, right? We started dating, I think I was 21.
Well,
And we've been together since.
Long time,
and I married her.
which is very impressive.
Yeah,
Kudos to you guys for
right,
that.
And I was also waiting for that moment, I won't lie. You start thinking about it in your early 20s. as a man. I'll admit, I know a lot of men don't want to admit it, but you start thinking about it, just playing around with the idea at the back of your mind. And what you tell yourself is that, no, let me sort my life out first, then it will happen, right? And then I'll have this moment. And often at times what we mean by that is, let me sort my finances. Let me get my finances in order.
That's key.
Because we think that is what it takes more than anything. And then your finances get in order somewhat. You start getting a bit of structure in terms of career-wise, employment-wise. And even then, you will still make up certain excuses to say, let me buy a house first. Because a family needs a home.
They haven't got-
right? Or you'll say, no, let me save enough to get married first, and then, which is not a bad thing, by the way. That's actually, I prefer it that way. Well, that's what I wanted. And now the marriage happens, and then now you're like, let me buy a house, you know. So all these excuses, for lack of a better word, will keep on coming.
There's always something.
There's always something that you always want to sort of use as a shield, because you don't want to confront the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is it's time for growth, because having a child is part of the growth process. And also a disclaimer, that's if you want children, right? So I'm not speaking for every man, because it's not everyone's aspirations to be a father, right? But essentially, if that is your aspiration, you need to then confront the growth head on and say, am I ready to grow? And I'll never be ready, unfortunately. You'll never be ready to say, okay, now I'm ready for growth. And, you know, it's a matter of you just making a decision to say, look, I'm facing it head on now. If not now, when? When? And there'll always be something, to be honest with you. So to answer your question, there isn't really a switch per se to say, I'm ready now. I'm going to have the baby now. Because even when you have the finances, you might not have the mental capacity to raise a child. Because the mental gymnastics there is crazy.
I imagine that's one of the biggest things, the emotional and the mental part of
hectic.
It. You know, because I'm an uncle to a lot of nieces and nephews, and I'm the world's greatest uncle. I'll own it. You can't touch me.
No, I saw.
I know you can't touch me.
I saw.
I'm different.
Yeah.
But I think it's in my favor because I'm temporarily there.
Yes, 100%.
To be a super uncle, I'm there for an hour,
100%.
worst case for a day.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking at fatherhood. This is every day, all the time.
24/7.
And those are different stakes.
Yeah, so, there's no day off.
You know, but at the same time, I have to agree with what you're saying, because I reference my own relationship with my dad. Like I mentioned, I think he was 27 when my dad had me. He was very young. He was going through his own life in college and school and all of these things.
Yeah.
And then when I started growing up to be a little aware, or to at least as far as my relationship with my dad, I do remember we went through a phase where maybe it was one-sided. I'm not going to speak from him, but on my side, I felt in a lot of ways like he was letting me down, because I kind of had this image in my mind, and it was informed by whether my friends' dads or amanye amakrut manengwaziyo, or what I had seen whether in a movie or in a song, whatever. I had built up this criteria of what I would want my dad to be like, or what my dad should be like. You know, how present he should be, how he should talk to me, how he should conduct himself, and you know, and my dad was never that. Yeah, he failed all of it. Like he missed every mark on that.
May I ask, which phase of your life is this? You had this?
This was around high school.
Okay.
High school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think high school, well, late primary going into high school, but more so just in high school, when I was like, okay, now, because I again at that time, so now
he's not meeting your expectations.
Yeah, I'm feeling like I know everything, you know, and it naturally translated in our actual relationship. I wasn't very, by the time I'm very, you know what I mean? It was like, you know?
Yeah.
And then years go and I evolve and I grow. And then there was a moment where I was introduced to this perspective of, he's my dad, but he's also a man. He's also a son. He's also a neighbor. He's also because at that time, late high school, that's when him and my mother rekindled things.
Yeah.
He's also a partner, a lover. So
And chances are he was also figuring it out.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So when I realized those things, it's like, oh, he's not just my dad.
Yeah.
This person is his own person.
Yeah.
And like me, he's also growing and evolving.
Yeah.
So then it was not even a light bulb, like a lightning rod in my mind. Like, oh snap.
Yeah. You're a bit more empathetic.
I was the asshole because now I'm seeing him as a person, and then I started understanding him more like, oh, no, this is not because he doesn't care.
Yeah.
This is just how this individual is. And, and that was then the turning point. Now, like,
Start even understanding his character more.
and then I know how to engage him.
Yeah.
So now I know, when he says this is what he means. When he doesn't say this is what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even his movements.
Yeah.
And our relationship from that point was, now he's my guy.
Yeah.
You come for him, you deal with him. You come for me, you deal with him. Like, we're inseparable.
That's amazing.
But I say that to say, I get where your point was. I don't think there's a switch because you're constantly growing now.
Yeah.
And at whatever station, all you can do is the best you can do.
100%.
And I mean, someone is going to feel like you're doing it wrong or you're not doing enough.
100%.
God, if this is all you know at this point, this is all you know at this point.
100%.
Check with me next year. Maybe I'll be better at it.
And I wanna dispel the myth around money. I know like finances are important, don't get me wrong. Particularly in raising children, because children are expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
However, it takes way more than money to raise a child.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us use that, I used to use that as a clutch in determining when the switch is going to happen. I used to
Money
say,
was it?
Yeah.
Okay,
You know, me and my then girlfriend, we would have these conversations because my girlfriend is very confrontational. That's just her character. So she confronted issues head on, as uncomfortable as the issues were at the time. Can you imagine? I'm in my early 20s.
We don't like that.
And she's asking me about children. Like,
Dude,
if I want to
chill.
have children, how many, when, And I would always make the excuse of saying, I want children for sure. I knew that. I've always wanted children, right? And I want lots of children. But I've always had this thing of, I need to be in a certain financial bracket in order for me to have these children. However, the older I grow, I realize where that emanates from. It emanates from my upbringing, right? I had a very impoverished upbringing. I suffered a lot as a child. So I had to grow up very quickly as a result. And I never got to enjoy being a child.
Just none of the
being like a
responsibilities.
normal child, like any other kids where I play. I always had to think like an adult, even from a young age, right? So I was robbed off of my childhood. And as a result, I think I'm projecting that trauma, in a sense that now I'm using finances as a clutch that I hold on to say, not now, not
Wait
now. But even then, even I can't tell you when financially.
How much money is enough money?
Right?
Yeah.
So I had to get over that and confront that sort of childhood trauma head on and say, you know what, at the end of the day, it's not about money. And it took me, just also having conversations with some of the people that were around me who had children. And I would observe and I'd see some of them had a lot of money.
Yeah.
Some of the people I was acquainted with at the time, I saw how, hey man, this guy has a lot of money, but I don't think based on what I think being a dad is, he's being a good dad, for example. And it's those small nuances that make you realize that it's not really about money. Hearing stories like yours, for example, right? Is realizing that it takes way more than
it
that.
Does. It does.
And that's how I got over the hurdle. And I'll tell you, like, we had a child in the most randomest way. Like, my wife couldn't anticipate it. When I said, I'm ready. And she was like, huh? I was like, yeah.
Those words actually came out of you.
Yeah,
You
I remember it was Christmas. Yeah, it was Christmas. It was Christmas, and we normally speak of so me and my wife have this thing where we sort of create our vision board for the next year.
Okay.
And we either do it on Christmas or we do it like New Year's Eve. So we had a tradition of spending New Year's Eve together.
Love it.
And then we would sort of have these dreamy chats about yo, man, I would love to have 1, 2, 3. And during those chats, I said to her, like, yo, I'm ready and I want a son. And she was like, she
Of
laughed and
course.
she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah.
Damn.
And
Yeah.
we were lucky enough that it happened that same year. We had a son.
That's beautiful.
And yeah, that was like,
At that time, your finances, were you in a good place, bad place? Were you
I
getting
wouldn't
there?
say a good place. I was starting out. I was still figuring it out financially, to
You
be
were
honest with
surviving.
you. I was really hustling. I'd call it hustling at that point. I mean, I had an income here, an income there. Anything I could do to put together an income, I was doing. I was emceeing. I was on community radio, which community radio, you don't get paid. You're volunteering, and I'm trying to use my notoriety from community radio to pivot into other streams of income.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was really
So
hustling.
you weren't stable
I
financially.
wasn't stable. I wouldn't
Okay.
say I had a stable job,
Got you.
whereas my wife, on the other hand, had a stable job. She had a contract, right? So at least there was income on a monthly basis. And even that too, that's another factor, by the way, because as men, it doesn't feel nice when your wife is sort of the provider.
It's
Or
the
your
hardest thing
girlfriend
ever.
is the
Oh,
provider,
that's the
so to say.
hardest
So
thing.
that was always at the back of my mind.
Yeah.
When I used that clutch of saying, I don't want a child now, I don't want a child now, because I could see financially she was more stable than me. With me, I had ups and downs. I didn't have like a structured income stream, right?
I get you.
And that, but at that moment when I would say I had an epiphany and I said, if I'm not going to do it now, it'll never happen. I didn't care, honestly. I didn't even know what's going to happen financially, to be honest. I was in such an unstable financial place that I was like, hey man, if
This is what I want, though.
yeah, like if I don't have the money, it's fine. I'm still going to be a great dad. It doesn't matter, right?
There we go. That's the one.
And I think we just and the crazy thing about it is I used to hear old people say this. There was a saying in Xhosa, they say abantwana ngabakaThixo. I never used to understand that saying, right? But what that's saying essentially, when you have children, you realize it, that kids are protected, man. Kids are so protected.
Insanely
that
so.
Insanely
Oh,
so.
yeah.
That's why you see videos of like a kid sitting there and then there's a snake that comes, it plays with the child, never bites
Oh,
the
no,
child.
no, no.
You start understanding these things
That's
the
true.
more and the older you grow, that kids are really protected. So kids won't struggle, bro. And I lived that firsthand when I had my first child. For some strange reason, bro, opportunities opened up financially. Like I don't know where they came from. It just started making sense. Both for me and my wife, by the way. Like things just started, I don't know, we summoned the energy, I guess, because we really didn't think much about the finances. It wasn't really about the finances. We never really worried much.
Yeah.
We always adopted a mentality of like, no, man, we'll figure it out.
It's gonna
We'll
come
figure it
right.
out. We've never struggled. We won't struggle.
Yeah.
So I think through that, then I learned that it's way more than money.
I love what, and we were having just a conversation when you arrived about intentionality and how the universe conspires. And in the previous conversation with the Unkabinde, we were talking about the blessings that come with honoring, the union of marriage and the doors that opens for you and the blessings that opens for you. So what you're saying now, it's taking me back to that. You're at a point where you're like, okay, finances are not ideal. Finances are not ideal, but I want this kid. And then from that moment or that declaration that you put out, then the door started opening and things started turning around. It's like, oh, damn, okay. Because you didn't know before you said I want a kid, you didn't know what you were going to get,
man.
whatever you were going to
Exactly.
get. But it just, which I think is beautiful, but also a hard sell for us as Abantu besilisa, as amadoda, because we kind of, as much as it's often said women need stability, we also kind of want, especially expected from ourselves, a certain degree of capability or resources. That's where our confidence comes from. That's why a lot of times, I engage, because I've got the time. I engage with a lot of guys over the money makes you a man thing or not, because there's the very strong illusion that money does make you a man.
True.
And I'm always on like, nah, zero.
Yeah.
With 100 hours, I would never agree to that. We can go back and forth until the cows come home. And so, but I think it's that thing of you're saying, Woodsie, to be able to stand on your ground and pursue whatever you want in the absence of
The security.
the security or the resources or the certainty that I've got a job, I've got a business.
Yeah.
But regardless, you still say, I want kids, or I want my child, or I'm doing this.
But I will say though, I don't want to romanticize it. It's very difficult because there's a lot of unlearning that is happening. I'm still unlearning even now because I won't lie. I think I was brought up in a society that made me believe that I need to be the provider.
Yeah,
Right. And I need to provide that security for my family.
yeah.
So it till this day, it's very difficult for me to be in a position where financially I take a back seat and my wife is the provider, for example, and I play other roles, right, that help bring the house together. Because that's how you understand, that is in essence what marriage and a partnership is that we are steering the ship together and everyone has roles to play. So when my wife is high, I need to be low, and vice versa.
It's a team effort.
It's a team effort. So if for instance my wife is having a busy season at work, I know that I need to compensate at home and make sure that the kids are all right, the kids don't feel neglected, and right, and the aspects of the household are kept intact, and vice versa, even with me. So both of us, for instance, we're independent contractors. So I run businesses, and she's an advocate, which is technically she's running a business, right?
Business,
So in that, we are both at a risk financially, in that we both have seasons financially. If you run a business, you know that there's a season where things
Not
are...
every quarter is a good quarter.
Exactly. And there's a season where things are really just going well, and more than anything, in entrepreneurship, you also understand that there is that time that requires you to work crazy hours because you are chasing something and you are hustling for something, right?
Yeah.
And in that time, there still needs to be a balance because there's a household, there's the children, there's your relationship with your wife that you still need to pour into, right? It doesn't stop, right? And in essence, that's that level of maturity and unlearning as I grow to understand that in certain respects, I need to play the passenger role and let my wife drive. And in certain roles, she needs to play the passenger role and let me drive. And there's nothing wrong with that in either situation.
No, there is. I think the fear is from us and from what I've gathered when I engage with Amachita, my daughter, is it's the fear of how do I let my girlfriend, my wife, lead this phase or this sector, sit back and still retain my dignity as a man, my stature, my reputation, my self-image of a man. How do I do this and still say, how do I let my wife bring in more money and still maintain my position as which is true what you're saying. But again, my dad, roughly the same period I was talking about earlier on, he wasn't like you. He wasn't in a stable job. He'd get temp jobs here and there. So financially, he wasn't strong or stable.
So you would understand why he was falling short. To be there, because you can understand his pressure and his...
No, but credit to him, he didn't have stable jobs. But the provision that he gave, like some of my best traits, some of the things that my wife today loves and respects about me, I got from him at that stage.
Crazy.
Because he didn't have a lot of money, but my dad was very meticulous. If nothing else, he knew how to take care of his things. His shoes, his clothes. He second to none, He'd do it himself. He knew the way he would iron his t-shirts, for example. Like, you know how they fold t-shirts now at shops, like your crew necks, and that's how I fold my t-shirts. My dad taught me how to do that. The shoes, how to polish them, and my sneakers to keep everything that he owned, you couldn't touch. And he provided me with those principles and those learnings, because he was coming from a position of, I don't have the money to keep buying these things every
Yeah.
time. So the things that I do have, I'm going to take care of them
Yeah.
and they're going to last. And so he gave that to me, to my friends and family. I'm the laughing stock because I'm apparently have a problem with washing the car. My car is always clean. Like I'll wash the car 4 times a week.
I love that.
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
But it emanates from that.
Yeah.
Like those are so I'm saying this to say he wasn't in a position where he could give me or provide me with money.
Yeah.
But life skills and
Which you are still using till this day.
knowledge of self, respecting self,
Yeah.
how I present myself, how I take care of the things that I'm responsible
Yeah.
for, whether it's a thing or it's a person. He was always you just knew.
Which I would argue is way more valuable than money, because
the
money
thing.
comes and goes.
That's the thing. So, and what people often, if you say money is not everything, you can do it without money, they kind of hear you saying you don't need money,
Yeah,
or money
at
is not
all.
important.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like that's not what we're saying. As you
Yeah.
were saying, money is important. That's
Yeah.
not a conversation. Full stop. Say dinga, it's crucial,
Yeah.
but it's not everything.
Shouldn't be the anchor.
Yeah. So I think with the whole fatherhood and son thing, it becomes tricky because, I mean, you do want to provide, which opens another platform up, portal to what is provision. What do you mean when you're saying I need to provide? When you say protecting, what do you mean protecting? Because I'll argue any day it's not merely physical or materialistic. You provide a whole lot more to your kids than money. Kids care a lot more about everything other than your money.
True.
Kids want to know that you're there. You know, you're cool. You listen to them. You trust them. You're gonna be there when they need you. Like they want to have a present father, a present mother.
Yeah.
So I believe, not even I think, we often naturally sway more to focus on the money side as fathers or as men, and we take for granted what it means for our kids or our nieces. If you're just there, like, I don't have money, but I'll put you on my shoulders and then we'll run around the house. And we're going to have a good time. I'm going to grab you by your feet and I'm going to spin you around.
Yeah.
Like, we undermine the impact in the long run and in the medium term just that has on kids. Like, bro, kids don't care about your bank account, bro.
They really don't, and I'm learning that as a father. I mean, I remember when in the first year of my son, first and second year, I used to buy my kid like a lot of toys. Again, I was overcompensating
From where
my
you come
trauma.
from.
Like I used to buy this guy the latest whatever, right?
Expensive ones or just
Expensive,
of
like,
course.
and
Yeah.
we used to fight, me and my wife, about that because she used to be on some. It's so unnecessary, bro. This guy is still young; he doesn't even
know this
understand.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I was very, big on that. And then, the older he grew, when he could express himself, and we could have conversations, I realized that guy really doesn't care. To your point, he really didn't care about any of those things. In fact, most of his toys are still intact. Right? He doesn't. And at first, it used to hurt me. I was like, bruh, I spent so much money, And so this other time, just to prove to your point, at school they have this thing called weekend news that they do on Mondays. So
Okay.
it's sort of like a diary system that they do. So the school sort of is documenting the entire year. So every Monday they have this session called weekend news. So they have to write what happened this past weekend.
Oh, okay.
So now every quarter we get this book which they have to bring back to school.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
that's for us parents to sort of track
Yeah.
what is it that they're writing in this diary, right? And it gives us context of where they are mentally.
Sure.
So now, me and my wife were reading it for the first half of the year, and my wife was like, "Dude, this is crazy. Do you notice that every time this guy, first of all, you featured 80% of the weekend news, right?
Damn.
And
Putting up numbers on the board, bro.
and over and above that, his highlights, because they have to write their highlights. His highlights are things such as me and my dad went to the park. Me and my dad were listening to music in the car. my dad told me about Michael Jackson. Like, and these are things to me I was not aware of, right?
Going
It's
to the
like,
park.
I'm like, that's crazy. Like, us driving around or me and my dad went to the shop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to me, that's like basic. That's like, it's not, I'm not even doing it conscious.
You could even be, what I'm thinking, I'm not saying this was, you could be on some, let's go to the park because I don't have money to go there.
Exactly.
So the park is free.
Exactly.
I'm just going to,
exactly. Like,
but to him, it's like,
and to him, that's like, because that's us actually actively spending time together. And that's, to your point, it values more to them. That's what they care about. They don't care about you taking them to, buy and whatever. You think taking them to a restaurant is what's going to end up in the weekend news? No, bro.
It's going to pick you up.
No, like, and for you, when a passion,
you ungrateful little.
So man, like I agree with you fully that it's really the money plays a role, but it's a very minimal role.
It's not everything.
Very minimal. I'm learning that literally with each child.
I think that's the gift of the years, though. I think that really just is one of that's the layer that slowly unpeels. Like, bro, you're putting too much credit on this thing.
No, we really do. And to my earlier point, we really use it as a clutch, bro.
Nah.
Yeah, no, man. There's no time where you'll be ready financially.
You know when another place that is true is when it comes to our relationships. Dating or personal relationships, romantic or otherwise, dating, marriage, whatever the case is. Because I also look at the things in that context that we then take from our fathers and our grandfathers.
Yeah.
And how they showed up in their romantic relationships
Yeah.
and then how we're showing up in our romantic relationships. I think that's one of the things that we also inherited, the financial part of it. Again, indoda must provide. We trivialize that to just mean indoda must have money.
True.
And so we grasped onto that so much that we neglected responsibility, communication, accountability. As long as I have money,
True. It negates everything.
I've done, this is all I need to do. I've got money.
That's what I'm bringing to this table.
Because that's the era that our dads or our grandfathers came from.
Yeah.
And so now we took that on and the game's changed.
I would also argue that's the social media era.
100%.
Yeah, that's what's preached more than anything. Is that what are you bringing to the table?
And we don't know outside of money what we do bring to the table. That one hit me personally. I used to, again, we started dating my now wife at the time, girlfriend. I went through a lot of internal conversations of, this woman has what young betel.
Yeah.
Because the things she was expecting of me, I'd never really seen.
Yeah.
Because now I have to draw a reference from the people and the men that I know. So I'm thinking about my grandfathers, I'm thinking about my dad and his peers or my lume. And I'm like, I'm realizing, Uti, the way my grandfather showed up for my grandmother as a man in that marriage is not how my dad showed up to my mother and their marriage. My grandmother tolerated a whole lot of things that my mother doesn't tolerate from my dad.
Yeah.
My mother tolerates a whole lot of things that my wife doesn't tolerate from me.
Yeah.
So now, the way I'm expected to show up in my marriage is not how my dad is expected to show up in his. So then it became because I can't ask him about this because this is not a thing.
No. He's never experienced this.
Never. This is a whole new world that I am in. And so there are certain things, from a principle perspective, that I can get from him and I learn from him.
Yeah.
But there's also a whole slew of things that he respectfully doesn't know about because he's not expected to show up in that way in his marriage.
Because you guys are also customizing your own relationship.
Exactly. So now it's like the things that my wife is asking and expecting of me, I've never seen a man older than me do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is still, do I do this as a man or am I now acting out of pocket?
Yeah.
Do I then conform because, she's my wife and I love her?
Yeah.
Like ngenza njani? You know, so it becomes almost like a trial and error thing where you're testing yourself like, okay, let's see, let me try this washing the dishes thing.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
ay, man, this is very foreign.
Yeah.
Or let me try cooking, whatever it may be. It's a thing of we never got a lot of that. Well, some of us, let me not speak for everyone. We never got a lot of that from our dads or our grandfathers. We never saw it. So now we're expected to do it, but we're like, angazi ngayibona indoda yenza nje, so I don't know if this is appropriate to do.
Jeez. You know, the more you speak is the more I realize that I had a different experience when I was younger, in that I was raised by a single mom who in certain respects also went through certain relationships where she was dating different men at different phases of my life.
Yeah.
Then she sadly passed away when I was relatively young. So I didn't have, now that I think of it, I realized when you were talking that I didn't really have much references,
Male references or
let alone women, from a dating perspective.
Oh, okay.
Like I really didn't, because most people grew up, like in your context, you grew up in a mom-dad home.
Yeah.
So that's your first point of reference of what a relationship is.
Yeah, sure.
How a man treats a woman and vice versa, more than anything. You looked to your mom and you said, oh, so this is how a woman needs to be. You looked to your dad and you're like, oh, this is how a man. And over and above that, you also had uncles that you could reference and say, oh, actually, you know. And to your point, later on, now that you are building your own relationship and your own home, you think back to my mom, my uncle, my grandmother, and you're like, but I haven't seen this, you know, and you sort of starting from a reference point before you do, right? And I never had that. I never had any reference point that I can point out and say, oh yeah, no, like at least Tumalumu Banbani.
Well, Bonnie,
I can, you know. The closest to that is like, I have this uncle who, at the time growing up, who still stays in Joburg.
Okay.
But he was the uncle from Joburg, right? He stayed in Joburg. So I remember this one time when I was in high school. I think I might have been, I think I was in grade 7, actually. Grade 7 going into high school. I visited, it was my first time visiting them.
Okay.
Right? And it was my first time saying, damn, like this is what I would love this one day. So it was the first time structure. I saw a family structure in close proximity.
It's like grade 7.
Yeah, grade 7. Like it's my first time seeing like a home.
Yeah.
Like the mom, the dad, the kids, and not only that, but how everything it was seamless. It was so seamless. Their relationship with their kids, their relationship together. And remember now, I'm staying there for the holiday, so I spend a good 2 weeks there. So I'm seeing this on a daily.
Yeah.
So it's not a fluke. It's not something I'm saying, okay, maybe it was the first day. You know?
They were in a good mood.
Yeah, you know, and that was my first time actually saying, damn, okay, this is crazy. I've never seen nor experienced this, you know, other than TV. And TV, I wouldn't take as gospel because that they're acting, right?
It's like another world.
Yeah, we don't, right? Yeah. So this is my first time experiencing something like that, and it happened once, and it was when I was in grade 7, and I never visited them again. But I remember having that at the back of my mind that I want this. Like I want that. Yeah. Like if that is what family is called, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Right. And that I would say was the closest reference. But other than that, I never had reference points.
Yeah.
So that is somewhat, to a certain degree, I thought it was a disadvantage, but it was actually advantageous.
I was about to say that.
Because I went into my relationship with my wife with nothing. Like I really didn't have any expectations of her. I didn't have any expectations of myself in that. I didn't know what was really expected of both of us. So she had to also teach me how she wants to be treated. And that was one of our biggest conversations earlier on in our relationships. She was big on that. She was like, I want to teach you my love language. Like, these are the things I appreciate. Yeah. And then I'm realizing as I go, I'm like, oh, okay. And then she's like, but you also need to teach me your love language. What are the things that you hold within a high regard for you? And don't model it based on what the man next door is doing what your friend is doing. What is it that you like,
Yeah.
custom to you, right? And through that, we manage to then carve what we have, which is a partnership that is somewhat evolving into a beautiful union. You get what
And
I'm
it's
saying?
immaculately effective for you guys.
Yeah,
Like,
and,
it makes sense.
and I'm glad we did that earlier on, because that became the foundation and the premise. And that is our source. So whenever we get lost, because we do get lost, we're not immune to that, right?
Yeah.
We always have to say, what is source?
Yeah.
How far are we from source? Let's come back to source.
Damn.
We've lost it. We're everywhere right now. Let's go back to source.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I love that.
You know, the foundation is there. We know what is the premise of our relationship before the kids, before the money, before everything else that we have today. We have source.
Yeah.
And we always go back to source. It's like, even now, you know, when you have kids, there's other relationship dynamics that become in play. For example, when we had our firstborn, we stopped dating.
Common thing, though.
Yeah, we stopped
Very common
dating.
thing, yeah.
Everything was about the child.
Yeah.
Everything we were doing was
Yeah.
from the premise of the child.
We have to, yeah.
And through that, things become routine. Then we realize we basically roommates or housemates. Like we stopped dating. And how do we come back to source? We need to come back to source.
Yeah.
But first, let's deal with the uncomfortable conversation of why did we stop?
Yeah.
Where did we get it wrong? And that gives us structure. Then we pour back. And not only that, we come up with solutions
Yeah.
to say, okay, let's try this out.
Yeah.
Because now it's a new dynamic. Remember now, the dynamics have changed. For example, you'll fight about things such as when we were dating, and here's the context, we dated in varsity. So in varsity, no offense, but we had a lot of time, right?
sure.
Now the relationship dynamic changes when she worked before me. So she got a job and I was still in varsity. I think I was doing my final year or whatever. And now we're at different places in our lives. So there's certain things I can't relate to when she says she's tired from work or whatever. I'm like, bruh.
What do you mean?
You know, it's almost as if she's sticking it in that I'm not working. You know,
Yeah, what
type
you
of
trying to
spirit.
say,
Like you
like-
wouldn't understand. You know,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
how I'm receiving it. You
Yeah,
know? and,
yeah.
and we fight about those little things. But then she teaches me. She's like, no, that's not what I mean. That's how you receive it. And we need to interrogate why you receive
Why
it
you
that
rece-
way.
yeah, yeah.
You know, what are you projecting? You're projecting certain insecurities about the fact that I'm now earning a living and you
you're
don't
not.
yet.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
And you live with that thought every day. Like, it's
Exactly.
always there. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah, but ukusala, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then that evolves. Then we get through that fight. Then that fight evolves to now we have children. Now we're no longer spending time together. But then we also have to contextualize things.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people don't do that in their fights.
They just look
Is
at
that
it as...
they just say, D, you used to take me out every Friday. But
Then.
that was before I worked on Fridays.
then.
Now I work on Fridays. I have a shift on Fridays.
So things
You
are
get
going
what
to
I'm saying?
change.
So why are you
Yeah.
missing that context? That's important context.
100%.
You get what I'm saying? And often at
100%.
times we don't do that during our quarrels or our fights. But
Yeah.
then that is also indicative of the evolution I'm alluding to in relationships, is that relationships evolve. Things change because we're growing every day. There's
Yeah.
new spanners in the works. Now we no longer have one child, we have three children.
children, yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So the dynamics now are far different to when we had one child,
yeah.
right? Now there's more added pressure in terms of giving attention to each child and not feeling guilty when you're working too much.
Yeah.
And us also, now we're spending so much time on the children, we're no longer pouring into ourselves,
yourself.
right? So there's all these added pressure, but irrespective of each phase of our lives and how these challenges evolve, it always comes back to source. It's easy when the foundation is laid for us to deal with these challenges because we can just come back and reboot and say,
You
"Wait,
must
wait, wait,
have
where
a
did we get
source,
it
though.
wrong?"
Yeah.
We know how to fight. Fighting is also a skill. People don't
That's
talk
a
about
very
that.
important thing.
Right? We know how to fight.
That's a very
Why?
important thing.
Because we set the foundation for that.
Yeah.
How do we fight? What do we constitute a fight?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And how do we fight? We need to understand each other's characters in order
Yeah.
for us to be able to quarrel
Yeah.
in such a way that it's constructive. It's not a quarrel of we're both trying to be right and we're both high and we both, but it's understanding that if there's a base, we're able to, even when things are going left, you're able to notice and say, no. We
This is
fight,
not
but
us.
this is not us.
Yeah.
We don't fight like that. That's not us. And both of you guys can realize and acknowledge that and say, actually, yeah, no, you're right. That's not us. Something is out of character here. Because we know what's our base.
I love that. I subscribe to that. Not ending, we've had a conversation, a series that built into one big conversation around vision. What is, from you and me as a unit, relationship, the family, what is the overall vision and what's the goal for this family? And so everything we do, whether it's a creative endeavor, business or work, everything we do has to be in alignment and feed into this vision.
True.
And before you pitch it to the other person, you have to have that conversation with yourself.
100%.
Does this add to the vision? If it doesn't, don't even bring it to me.
100%.
If my wife knows. If it's not contribute, she doesn't even tell me.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Even if I have like my own selfish, if I see this has nothing to do with our vision, then I'm like, hey, I don't even bring it to her. We don't even talk about it.
Yeah.
The only things we share and we discuss are things that speak to the vision that we've established. So I think what's also tricky and painful and hard about Lendo Show, keyword being evolution, is that because, like you're saying, some people have reference of ubaba, umalume, and whatever the case may be within family or within the community, that formed a part of your foundation as an individual.
Yeah.
And so now you meet this person who's saying, I don't agree with that, or that's not right. I don't like that.
Yeah.
So we need to change that. So now it's challenging you to change something that formed a part of who you are.
Yeah. You are unlearning.
Yeah, exactly that. So now when you're saying, isn't engayifunda kubaba, is it wrong? You're basically insulting ubaba.
Yes.
I can't take that.
Yeah.
It's no way. We're not doing that.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
You know, ngabona umkhulu wayenza kanje.
Yeah.
And I'm doing njengomkhulu because umkhulu was this amazing man, a man of the community. Everybody revered him.
Yeah.
And I took from him.
Yeah.
Now this thing that I took from
You are
umkhulu,
saying what is wrong.
she's saying, no, I don't like that. I don't want that. What do you mean? Umkhulu, why wrong? No, so bad, you know?
Yeah.
And so I resist against that because now I can't unlearn that because I got it from such a what's the word, impressionable age. And it, for a long time, it's been a key part of what I
now
consider
innate.
that makes me indort
Yeah.
or it makes me who I am. And now this person is challenging that and saying, no, that's actually a toxic trait. That's actually not healthy. That's
Yeah.
actually not going to help us. It's not helping you as a
Yeah.
person. So maybe you might need to look at that. And now you're like, because now you have to go back years.
Yeah.
See this thing from where it began. And I think in a way, as you were saying, when you come into a relationship with that, or with some of those references that aren't necessarily good and that need to evolve, you are then at that disadvantage space in the sense that you have to unlearn a little more
Yeah.
than someone who came in with a clean slate.
And equally to that, I want to add to that in that there also needs to be grace from your partner. And this is both ends, by the way. I'm not talking about men or women, both ends.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, what you just said also is also applicable to her.
100%.
by the
Oh, yeah,
way.
for
It's
sure.
things that she has learned over the years that she has to unlearn now because of you.
Yes.
And you won't tolerate them.
100%.
Right? And in that, you also have to offer grace because unlearning takes time.
It's harder than learning.
It's way harder than learning because
than
it's
learning.
deeply entrenched. It's
Yeah.
embedded. It's a part of you, like you're saying. So now it takes time to teach some, and learning is through repetition. And that takes time. It has to happen over a couple of occurrences, you know. And they also have to play, your partner has to play an active role in helping you unlearn. So, for instance, in our context, what we do, which I generally love, which helps me a lot, I won't lie, because there's certain things that I do, because something is innate, you do it without realizing.
Yeah.
So we have these exercises where, you know, when you and your partner have these very cool moments or like very calm and you're having very nice conversations,
I love those. Actually.
that's when these conversations come up.
Yeah.
So she'll say, did you notice on Tuesday when we were driving and then that guy spoke to you and then you reacted in this way in front of the kids, right? It's what I was telling you about. Don't do it again. Because did you notice how our son reacted or looked at you when you said that in front of him? Then you're like, actually,
Didn't see that.
yeah, I actually didn't even notice it, right? And she's right. And when we're confronted with a similar situation, immediately she's at the back of my mind. And
back
I'm
with-
like, this is what she was talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm now conscious.
Yeah.
Right? I become conscious instantly.
Yeah.
So even with her, the same, right? There's some things that I would say, when you spoke to so-and-so this way, there could have been a different way you could have handled that. Words matter. So when you said, you could have said, and you saying this, the conversation would have gone right. But now it went left because of just the keyword that you used.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're actually
Damn.
right.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you could have then, and you've missed a teachable moment because your message then got lost into translation because of how you communicated what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're actually right. Now she's a bit more conscious and I'm starting to see, instances where I know it could have gone left, but the way she's now conscious.
She also like,
so it's an example of what I'm telling you about. We both play an active role in giving grace, number one, and two, helping the unlearning, because it's not just your responsibility to unlearn just because you are the one with the issue.
With the issue,
right? So I'm communicating, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And you need to unlearn this. But I need to help you too.
Yeah.
And you also need to be willing, by the way. It's a reciprocated thing.
100%.
So now where you can't be on some, I'll unlearn, but you're not really acting in accordance to what you're saying.
That's
so
true.
It's a reciprocated thing where one has to show grace and one has to also help teach or unlearn the part, and vice versa. It goes both ways.
It absolutely does. And I'm smiling when you say, because we go through exactly the same thing. And I love those moments or those pockets of moments when we have, it's almost like it's a sacred thing. Because we never orchestrate it. They'll just creep up on us and then we'll have, and then because I'm such a fan of them, I'll be like, oh yeah, this is, I'll put it in my veins. When we're then having that, because it's such a safe space. It's such a comfortable space. And she knows now, whatever the most sensitive things, she can bring it up then. And my guard is so low, I'm not even defensive.
Yes.
And I'll like...
And you're more understanding.
I'm like, tell me more.
What
do you mean? Really?
You're like, give me the POV.
No.
Like,
Damn. Okay. And then, again, the unlearning and the conversation, it carries on.
Yeah.
But it also, what you're saying, would see, it's a two-way, it's a two-man sport.
Yeah.
But I always advocate and I always speak to, you need, and I believe you need to create the environment for your partner.
Yeah.
So whether it's learning, unlearning, it's flourishing, it's whatever, there's an inherent responsibility on all of us
100%.
to create the environment for our partner. I have to create an environment for my wife to feel safe.
Yeah.
For her to be who she is
100%.
and express herself. She has to create an environment for me to feel and see, I am a leader here, I'm a man here, I have my responsibilities, I'm seen here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's not a then one-sided thing, as you're saying, Uguti, I must do everything in the house. She doesn't have any responsibilities. Mina, I must lead in everything, I must work on everything, I must pick up everything.
Yeah.
No, there's reciprocation, and it's a mutual effort and responsibility that we share. In the same way that she can't do everything in the house. She can't everything. No, there's a responsibility, Nami, on my end to, you need to put in some work to make this person feel like, okay, this is a team effort. Like, I'm not alone here.
On a lighter note, you just reminded me of my wife and I were actually watching your previous episode.
Oh, yeah.
And
thank you for that.
She was laughing she was like, you know what? They're actually right. Like, I do put you through. It was the extract where you guys were talking about, as a man, you need to be comfortable with being the bad guy.
Oh yeah. Oh, we've had a lot of conversations since. Oh yeah.
My wife was like, you know what? Actually, Damn, man, you guys go through a lot, eh? Now that
Oh,
I think of it, like they're
it's
actually right.
it's a lot.
I actually
Yeah,
laughed so hard because
that's
there was so much truth in that.
that's funny.
And in as much as, that was, funny, but it was extremely profound in you understanding, in both of you guys, gender roles are a thing.
Yeah.
And people don't want to admit this because of the era we're in. And people think you are against movements such as feminism, for example, when you mention things such as gender roles.
Yeah.
And I see it with us that we have these gender roles that are not communicated. By the way, I don't expect anything from my wife. Like I don't have, okay, maybe I'm like, I have certain expectations as a partner, right? However, I'm talking from a gender role perspective. From a gender role perspective, I don't have any expectations of my wife. Zero.
Gotcha.
Right? No one at the house is supposed to wash the dishes. No one in the house is supposed to do the garden. No one in the house is supposed to take the trash out. No one in the house is supposed to make sure we have curtains or whatever the case might be, right? However, we find ourselves seamlessly having a system. We've never communicated.
It just works.
We've never communicated it. There's never even been an issue around it.
Yeah, an argument around. You didn't buy those curtains this month.
Yes, or like you didn't take out the trash this month. Right?
Yeah.
Dude, my wife can take out the trash whenever she feels like it.
Yeah.
I cook whenever I feel like it. I wash the dishes when I clean. She does the same. And there's just a system.
Gotcha.
That we have. And I'll also attribute it to her because she's very OCD. So she likes a clean space, right? So, and I had to learn that over years, right? Because I was very messy. When
and it made you better.
It made me better because
sure.
now, at least now, I can take credit in certain spaces because of her, right? But that has also helped us just have a system.
Yeah.
That when something needs to be done, you do it. You don't wait for the other one. Or you don't say, "Guti, but I've been doing it for the past week."
Yeah.
You know, when something needs to be done, you just do it. But to the point I was trying to make is that it made me actually appreciate certain gender roles. There's certain things that I do as a man, quote unquote, that are somewhat manly jobs that I actually enjoy doing for my wife. And it's certain privileges for her that I can see she enjoys. You know, and vice versa. Naomi, there's certain privileges that I see and I'm like, yo, I'm so lucky, man. Yeah, you know. And the beauty of it all is that on both ends, it's acts of service that we want to do. I enjoy driving my wife around, for example.
That's the key, yeah.
Right? Like she's a princess and she's just, wherever she goes, like I'm driving.
I'll take you.
She never drives. And she enjoys that. But I enjoy doing that for her. And she would enjoy making me food and giving it to me and like sort of presenting the food to me like a wife.
To you.
That's a privilege. Like,
damn.
And I don't take it lightly. It's not something that I say like,
you're supposed to.
You know? So I do appreciate, you know, those gender roles when they come effortlessly and they come as acts of service, but not as an expectation more than anything.
It's a love language again.
It is.
So it's beautiful. And I think that's the part where compatibility comes into. Be with someone who you won't have to force
100%.
to do these things.
100%.
Be with someone who wants to be this person and wants to do. Then you're not dragging anyone.
And that saying is true. There's a saying that in love, women instantly become submissive naturally.
No, you don't have to.
You don't have to force anything. I've seen it.
At all.
You know, when your woman is happy, generally.
Oh, you're happy.
Like you're happy.
Oh, you.
You know, that's all that matters, bro.
Ironically, I hate that saying, but in this context, like
that's all that matters, man.
Nice.
Nothing else matters.
I feel you, King. Thank you so much, bro. I love this. If it were up to me, we'd go for another 5 hours. You know me, I love these conversations. But thank you for honoring the invite, and too. Like I said, it was very clear and very intentional in reaching out to you. I love you as a brother, man. I respect you, the way you move, the way your mind operates, your tenacity and audacity to dream and Leo, my wife calls it nkani yomzulu, but
Yeah.
Leo nkani would say, "No, I want to do this, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how. It's not likely, but I'm going to do this."
Yeah.
I admire that, dog. I respect that as a man, as a human. You have that from me in there too. Again, thank you for pulling up. I appreciate it. It means more than I can explain.
Always.
Nah, dog, thank you. I
No,
appreciate it.
Bulela
Appreciate it.
Mnandi, thank you so much, man. I'll always, for me, it's me supporting a brother's dream, and that's all that matters.
I love that. Love that. Nah, I appreciate you, King.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it, my guy.
Aware.